Good morning, student. I am Dr. Vaibhav Pandit, Assistant Professor and Head, Department of Soil Science, School of Agriculture, SR University, Warangal. Today we are going to discuss about the weathering of rocks and minerals. So we'll see what is meant by the rock, what is meant by the weathering. So weathering is the disintegration and decomposition of the rocks and minerals by the different agents. So we have classified that agent into three classes, that is physical agents, then chemical agents and biological agents. So based on these agent names, we have given the weathering names like physical weathering, chemical weathering and biological weathering. Generally, weathering will again have the two types, that is the uh, geological weathering and uh, pedological weathering. So geological weathering will develop the parameterials, that is a regolith for the development of soil, whereas the geological pedological weathering will develop the soil. So regolith is the formation of the A, B, and C horizons. So that is occur because of the geological weathering. So soil is the A and B horizon. Soil is the only the A and B horizons. It is formed by the pedological weathering. For the formation of the soil, pedological weathering is important. That pedological weathering have different factors. So the formation of the soil, that is because of the geological weathering, will have the different factors, that is physical, chemical, and biological agents. So we can say the physical weathering, chemical weathering, and biological weathering. So here we see the rock cycle. There are three types of rocks: igneous rocks, sedimentary rocks, and metamorphic rocks. That this is formed by the different agents or different process. Rocks will form because of the magma. From the igneous rock, sedimentary rocks will form, and the igneous and sedimentary rock responsible for the metamorphic rocks. The metamorphic rocks will develop because of the pressure and the temperature. So these are the different weathering process: the physical weathering, chemical weathering, and biological weathering. Physical weathering will occur because of physical agents. Chemical weathering will occur because of the chemical agents, and biological weathering will occur because of the biological agents. In physical weathering, we'll see the different types of agent responsible for the weathering. First one is we'll see the physical condition of the rocks. Physical condition of rocks, one more important is the size of the rocks. We'll compare here the coarse texture rock and the fine texture rock. Suppose we have the sandstone, fine textures, coarse texture sandstone and fine texture basalt. Between the coarse texture rocks will have some spores. Through that spore, water will infiltrate. That water will come in the contact with the rocks, will be responsible for the weathering. Mostly for the physical weathering, temperature and the water is very important for reducing the size. In physical weathering, we are just reducing the size of the rock. We are descending into the bigger size of rock into the small rock. So first one is the physical condition of rock, where the coarse texture rocks will weather faster compared to the fine texture rock due to the contact of the inner surface of the rocks with the water. Next one, the temperature. So disintegration of the rocks by the temperature is depends on the heating coefficient of the minerals. On a rocks, one rock will have the two or three types of the more than two types of the minerals will get heated at the different times because of that different minerals will have the different heating coefficient. During daytime, rock will get heated by the sun and expanded. During night time, it will temperature will get cool and is contract because of the expansion and contraction effect. The surface layer of the rocks will get peel off. That phenomena is called the exfoliation. So exfoliation phenomena, it will not occur in the complete all types of the rocks. Mostly it will comes in the basalt. So that phenomena will remove the surface layer of the rocks, and this types of weathering is called the onion types of weathering. We'll see here, this is called onion types of weathering, removing of this surface layer from the basalt. So inner part is smooth, outer part is the rough. So this is because of the temperature. And this is onion types of weathering because of temperature. Removing of the surface layer of the rock. Next one is the water. Water is the most important of the temperature because of the for the disintegration, transportation, and deposition of the agent. Because of the water, the rocks will disintegrate because of the cutting effect of the river. This is because of the cutting effect of the river. The rock will disintegrate. When it will move because of during transportation, the water again it break down into small size, and the size of the rocks depends on the carrying capacity of the river. Next one is the action of freezing. It mostly active in the cold region where the rocks will have the cracks and crevices. Water will go into the cracks and crevices and it will freeze. When it will freeze, it will increase the volume. Because of increase the volume by the 9%, tremendous pressure will develop in the cracks, nearly 150 tons per square feet. So now you see here ice is freeze and increase the volume by 9%. Because of that, it will develop the tremendous pressure and the rocks will break down. Next one is the alternate wetting and drying. Because of alternate wetting and drying, internal structure of rocks will become loose. Because of that, slowly, the rocks will disintegrate into the small size. This next one, the glacier. The glacier action also will active in the cold region where the snow will started falling from the higher slope to the lower slope because of change in the temperature. During the transportation of this glacier from higher slope to the lower slope, it will generate a tremendous pressure on the rocks. Because of this tremendous pressure, rocks will get weathered into the smaller size, and loose particle will move from the higher slope to the lower slope. Next one is the wind. Wind move from the one direction to one place to other place. It will also carry different sizes of particle, which will show the abrasive effect on the rocks, and rocks will ultimately break down into the small particle. The next one is this is most active in the desert area where our in India Aravalli, that wind will act on the Aravalli mountain range and the soil will parameter will develop. Then the atmospheric electrical phenomena, when the lighting will come in the contact with the rock, that rock will break down. So this picture you see because of the glacier, so it will generate tremendous pressure on the rocks and it will break down. And this is because of the wind action, mostly active in the desert area. And this is because lighting, because of rock is breakdown because of the atmospheric phenomena, that is electrical, that is lighting. The next one, the chemical weathering. So we have first seen that is the physical weathering. Because of physical weathering, bigger size of rocks disintegrate small size of the rocks, or smaller size of the particle, smaller size of the material. Where because of the physical weathering, surface area of the rocks is increased. Now here, next one is the chemical weathering. Chemical weathering will change the chemical composition of the rocks and form the new rock. But in the physical weathering, new rock will not form, only size will change. But in the chemical weathering, size will not change. It will change the size and also the chemical composition rocks, and new rocks will form, new minerals will form. That is the basic difference between the chemical weathering and the physical weathering. So chemical weathering will be more effective if the surface area of the rock will increase. The surface area of the rock will increase because of the physical weathering. Okay, so physical weathering will increase because of increase in the water content, increase in the temperature, and increase in the organic matter content and the CO2. So see the how many process required for the. We'll see the process in the chemical weathering. First one is the hydration. Hydration is the combination of water molecules to the minerals or the rocks. Now we'll see the one example here. This is the hematite, that is H2O2 will react with the water molecules. So water molecules added in this chemical formula and the chemical structure change. That is Fe2O3 H2O. So this hematite is converted to new minerals because of the addition of water. The new mineral name is limonite. Because of hematite, soil will get red, and because of hematite converted into limonite, the soil will get color now yellow. Another example is that is the calcium sulfate will get combined with the water and will convert into gypsum. So because of hydration, one mineral will convert into the another mineral. Next one is the hydrolysis. Hydrolysis is the most important process in the chemical weathering. Not only in the chemical weathering, all types of the weathering. Here the water will dissociate into H and OH ion and combine with the minerals and change into the another minerals and form the new compound. So this process of chemical weathering, that is hydrolysis, will converted the primary mineral into secondary minerals. The primary minerals with secondary, when primary minerals will convert into the secondary minerals, hydrolysis will occur in two times. That's why the hydrolysis is the double decomposition process. This process is very important for the formation of clay. That's why it's called the clay runner process. Next one is the solution. So some types of the rocks is there. In that rocks, minerals will be there that is soluble in the water, which will leach out the different types of salt when it will get soluble. It is easy, very simple, the solution process. Next is the carbonation. Carbonation is the combination of carbon dioxide with water and formation of carbonic acid. When this carbonic acid will get in contact with the rocks, that acid will react with the soluble part of the rock. From that rocks, soluble part will get leach out and rocks will start weathering. For example, your secondary rocks, that is the limestone. Limestone will have calcite. The calcite comes in contact with the carbonic acid, will get solubilized, and the rock will start the weathering. Next one is the oxidation. Oxidation will add the oxygen to the minerals. Because of oxidation is the addition of the oxygen to the minerals, whereas the reduction is the removal of the oxidation from the minerals. So this oxidation and reduction will swap the minerals, will lose the mineral structure. Because of oxidation, iron will convert into iron oxide, will form a hematite. Where a reduction, reverse process will occur. This process, oxidation reduction, required for the formation of iron oxide, aluminum oxide, iron hydroxide, aluminum hydroxide minerals. This process actually will give the color to the soil. And this process will be active only after the hydrolysis process. If you see among the all 6 processes of chemical weathering, the hydrolysis is the most important. In the soil, hydrolysis process will start. Because of hydrolysis, different ions will form in the soil like aluminum, iron, sodium, calcium. These ions will be accumulated in the soil after the hydrolysis. Because of the oxidation and reduction process, that iron will convert into iron oxide or aluminum oxide, or calcium will convert into different minerals. After this hydrolysis, oxidation, reduction process will active. After that, carbonation, and last one is the hydrolysis and solution. So among physical and chemical weathering, if you differentiate which weathering is active and which climate zone, so chemical weathering is active in the humid climatic area, whereas the physical weathering is active in the temperate region and the desert region, that is the arid region. So chemical weathering is more faster than the physical weathering because chemical weathering, it will be active in the humid region. It's supported by the temperature, water, organic matter, CO2, the microorganism, even microorganism. The next weathering is the biological weathering. So it is active when the living organism is there in that region. Suppose man, animal, plants, roots, microorganisms. These are the agents of physical weathering. So how man will start the physical biological weathering? So man will disintegrate the rock by cutting and for building the dams, channels, or construction of the construction of the roads and building. So this process will increase the surface area. Next one is the animals like birds, insects, and worms. It will make a holes in the rocks and helpful for the weathering. In tropical and subtropical regions, ants and termites will develop the galleries and passage to carry the material from one area to another area. During this process, also it secretes the acid. It will be helpful for the weathering of the rocks. Then rabbits will also make a holes to the soft rocks. It will helpful for the weathering. Next one, the higher plants and the roots. Plants roots, the tree roots will penetrate into the cracks or crevices of the rocks, will generate will exert a tremendous pressure. Because of that pressure, the rocks will break down, disintegrate into the different parts. And during this process, when plant roots will release different types of the acids, that acid react with the rocks, and some soluble part will leach out, and the rock will start the weathering. And also some dead roots and the plant residue will decompose and generate the CO2. The CO2 come in contact with water and release the acid. It also increase the weathering process. Next one is the microorganism like mosses, bacteria, fungi, actinomyces play important role for the biological weathering. It will take the nutrient from the rocks and nitrogen from the air and start the weathering. So generally, best example of the microorganism in the biological weathering is the lichen. Lichen will grow on the surface of the rocks. It will provide the, it will take the nutrient from the rock and moisture from the atmosphere and generate and also create some acids on that rock, and that rock will start the weathering. Like the other fungi also there, it will take the moisture from the atmosphere and the CO2 from CO2 and create the acids, start the weathering. Most important role of the microorganism is the weathering of the rocks and mineral is the generation of the acids. That acid will solubilize the minerals and rocks will start the developing. So other than that, this is the three different types of weathering: physical, chemical, biological weathering. So what factor influence the weathering of rocks? There are three different factors are there, that is climatic, physical, and the chemical characteristics of the rocks and minerals. Climatic condition is very important for the weathering of rocks. A humid climate is very suitable for the weathering of rocks. In humid climate, rocks will weather fastly compared to the arid and temperate climate. Because in the humid climate, temperature and the water, then the organic matter CO2 will be active and simultaneously, and the rocks will weather fastly. But if you see in the arid climatic region, only temperature will be active, only the physical weather will be active. That's why the weathering will not be fast. In the temperate region also, only temperature, that is the glacier, will be active. That's why the weathering will not be fast. In the humid climatic condition, the soil will develop faster, whereas the arid and temperate conditions, soil will develop very slow. It will take a lot of time. And next one is the physical condition. Physical condition of the rocks also will decide the weathering of the minerals, like the physical composition of rock. Like we are differentiating the rocks based on the ferromagnesium and the non-ferromagnesium minerals. The ferromagnesium containing rocks will weather faster than compared to the non-ferromagnesium minerals. Now the particle size, smaller the particle size, higher will be the surface area, then more will be the weathering compared to the higher particle size rocks. Now the hardness and degree of cementation. Hardness and degree of cementation very important for the types of the weathering will be active. Now the example is quartz. Quartz is very hard and degree of cementation is also there. So the physical weathering will be active in quartz. Quartz will weather by the physical weathering, not by the chemical weathering. So next one is the chemical and structural characteristics of the rocks. Now calcium, gypsum is there, is strongly soluble in water. It will weather fastly compared to the quartz. Then the structure, open structure rocks will weather fastly than the closed structure. For example, olive will weather fastly. compared to biotite and orthoclase because it has a close structure. Then the tightness of the iron in the crystal. So less tight minerals there, olive and biotite will weather fastly compared to the highly tight iron, that is silicon and muscoid. So this is the weathering of the rocks. Thank you for listening. Thank you so much. This is about the weathering of the rocks. We are stopping here.